Okay, hello everyone. This is Sharonda, and this is my podcast as well as my YouTube channel, Spiritual Sense. Today is Thursday, which is October the 27th, and in this podcast, I'll go over topics in regards to the paranormal, occult, and supernatural. The podcast as well as the YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions or topic for a future show, you are more than welcome to comment in the comment section below. So I'm going to briefly go into the topic for today, and that is selling your soul. So what prompted me to speak on this topic, I was just in my room and I was watching TV, and oftentimes, I watch the same old, news programs and world news and things of the sort all the time, and a lot of times things become apparent to me, and then I begin to watch other programs as well, and as I'm watching it, then I start getting an inclination as to what is transpiring. And that's when I said, okay, I need to go do a daily tarot card reading because I hadn't did one for today, and I also need to discuss this particular topic. Now, I also like to state again that this podcast is a open social discussion. It's not a debate, and it's for entertainment purposes. It's not a biblical nor a religious podcast. I give my opinions on certain things that may be biblical related, but I am not a pastor. I'm not an elder. I'm not a prophetess. I think a prophetic word can work through us all. Um, so I can't argue with the next individual in regards to whatever the biblical text may state. Okay. So, anyways, I'm watching a program, is in Unsolved Mysteries, and it was a mentioning of a particular case that transpired. And as I'm sitting there listening to the case, I began to think of, okay, this person sold his soul, is what I feel. And so I'm going to give account as to what the biblical text mentions in reference to selling your soul, and then I'm going to give you what my interpretation of that is. So it says, is it biblical that one can sell their soul? Then was Jesus led up of the spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil? Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and said unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then said Jesus unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So, number one, it mentions what is a soul. It has three parts. It mentions it's the mind, will, and emotions is what it mentions. The breath, the spirit, and the soul are two different things, in my opinion. Now, it also mentions that the mind being part of the soul, the will being part of the soul, and the emotions being part of the soul, but I'm not going to go in depth with that because this podcast, as well as this YouTube episode, is in reference to selling of one's soul and what does it mean to sell your soul. The act of selling is to transfer goods to or render services for another in exchange for money. So selling one's soul will be given the soul in exchange for money or another good. So it mentions Luke 16, 1 through 13, and see that the idea isn't far-fetched. Jesus said that man can worship money. I'm sure that you have met quite a few people that it seems all they do is work to pay off the unnecessary debt they are in. It seems like they can never get a handle on their finances. They do not have control over money. Money controls them. They serve money. So it mentions the devil wants your soul. When Jesus was in the wilderness, the devil told him, give me worship, and in exchange, I will give you these kingdoms, wealth, and fame. The ultimate goal was for Jesus to submit his will to the devil. By doing so, his emotions would have gotten the best of him, and his mind would be focused on worshiping the devil to get fame and wealth. Jesus knew that by fulfilling his calling on earth, his name would be famous forevermore, and his father would give him the kingdoms. He did not have to exchange his soul for wealth or fame. Those would come after his resurrection. Thank God he didn't do it, is what it mentions. So it says the devil uses the same tactic today. He will offer what you want in exchange for you to worship him. Once you begin to worship the devil, he will begin to use your mind, will, and emotions to his benefit. If you stop the worship, he stopped giving out the goods. And so he tries to trap his worshipers in forever worshiping him. So, in reference to the particular show that I was watching, I'm not going to go too much in depth because that it is an investigation, and God rest the person's soul. But I use certain things to speak on a certain topic because you will begin to see similarities in things that you did in reference to when you watch, hear about other people's testament and stories and things of that nature. And I think it's a message to be conveyed about selling your soul. So I think what happens is when a person has had a lot of things in life to be unfavorable for him and her, and people judge as they do, and things are not favorable when you try to do things right and straight lace. How am I going to maintain and keep steady income, keep roof over my head, let alone live uh, extravagantly in order to maintain? How would I be able to do so? And I think in this is people get into certain spirit related fields or jobs or whatever the case may be with good intentions at heart, good intentions at mind. And in essence, confusion will bring in, those spirits will come in, and things will present in an unfavorable manner, and you will be tempted, set up, and used as such, particularly when you begin to bring God into a situation where you begin to understand or wanting to understand what a lot of the things we're speaking about in terms of the biblical text. And I think in essence, um, people begin to sell out or sell their souls because what is being said and what is being conveyed and done are two different things. And so when a person has a lot of stress and strain and struggle on them and they're going to lose all of this, and what am I going to do? How am I going to maintain? And they end up, it's kind of like, in a sense, of a person who goes straight lace, and then all of a sudden, things are going good, and you have obtained all these things, and everything is about to fall apart. And oh my God, what am I going to do to maintain? And so oftentimes you have people who are set up and tempted by the powers that may be or to other entities to get these individuals to sell out. And I think it's being done by way of a group of spirit related taunted spirits. For the lack of a better word, I'm just going to relate to it as such. And I think, in essence, you have people that are idle, and They're looking for entertainment and they thirst and hunger for new innovative entertainment. You'll become encased in a certain reality and you begin to delve off into things that are unfavorable. So in essence, what I'm getting at is those who may partake in, some activities that might not be favorable. I think in this is in order for me to maintain and sustain a certain privilege, and I'm speaking in third person, not of my own right. Individuals have this understanding that, okay, because I chose this at some form of fashion, this is what will happen as a result of that. So I think that in essence, that in turn is what is being understood or being conveyed in terms of selling one's soul, for privilege, fortune, and fame. I may have a lot in here versus here in one aspect. And as I just sat here and was speaking that, had a shift go in, and it was like a resonate right here. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't feel like it's health related. I do feel as though it is spiritual related, is what I feel. Something in relation to sound. Just let me know. I think a lot of this you may see in, entertainment and things of the sort. And so if you just sit back and take note, you will begin to see how a lot of extras and different spirits manifest and gravitate to certain spirit related fields. Okay, as well. So to sell one's soul, I think in essence, when a person sells his soul or her soul, they have more of, it's like a bound in agreement with a dark force for fame and fortune. And at one given time, you will begin to see, once they have accepted that reality, how the spirit will turn against itself and it will operate in suit. And those powers that may be, those energies that are surrounding, will work in suit, but all in all, is all in the own mind of the individual, oftentimes. Because this is something that you battle, and this is something that you have agreed upon based on your not being forgiven of your transgression and feeling some type of way or guilt for having things that the average person would never be able to have. So in essence, that's what to sell of your soul is, particularly when there's a transition that's about to occur or even a spiritual renewal, when there's a change in personality or behavior and things of that sort. Okay. So I just was prompted to come in here and do this podcast today in regards to selling your soul. And I'm not a preacher, I'm not a pastor. I consider myself to be gypsy, intuitive, psychic like. I think most people are, more so than they would know. And once you have received that inclination from God, you will begin to realize that oftentimes, whatever you believe in itself, the spirit will begin to turn against itself, whether it be by mind, body, or spirit. So trust and understand that. So I'm going to conclude this episode of Spiritual Sense. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you're more than welcome to comment below. Until then, have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.